All right. Oh,
Streamers
we're live,
live.
by the way, but you can't be watching right now because we have to have a show open. Here we go. How's that? Huh?
Dude, digging the pictures.
Welcome.
Which one was which?
Well, see, I was going to do that. I was going to say, hey, can you tell us who's who here? But I put names on there.
Oh,
so,
man.
Suck the guessing right out of it. There you go.
Man, who made us wear those
Welcome to the
ugly-ass
podcast.
bow ties?
Are You Shitting Me? TMI, the podcast. I'm Mike, and
I'm Ron.
And we're glad you're here. So
tonight's the night.
So, yeah, tonight's the night. So do you want to just dive right into it, or do you have anything else you want to get to?
Let's kind of ease our way into it a little bit because I want as many folks to hop on as possible because this is a rare moment, no, it's been an interesting a couple of weeks out here in Vegas, actually since last week. Been interesting, lots of things going on. Matter of fact, you and I have talked about a few of them, so I'm going to save those little nuggets for another time. Man, so we're talking about, let's talk a little tiny bit of football, but what do you think of the Super Bowl being here in Las Vegas?
Well, yeah, you know what? And I have to tell you something. I'm such a moron. I didn't know it was going to be in Vegas. And according to what the NFL has already put out, I've seen the pictures, and apparently there's no reason for the games this weekend. It's going to be San Francisco and Baltimore.
Yeah, pretty much.
Because they already put the NFL already put an image out there that promoted it. It's going to be in Vegas and, be here to watch these two teams. And I thought, well, that's fascinating. I'm sure Detroit and who's the other team that's in?
Nostradamus said that.
Is it Buffalo? Yeah, Buffalo.
Yeah.
No, Kansas City.
No, yeah, you're right.
Kansas City. Yeah, KC and Baltimore this weekend. And, since we're on the subject, how about Detroit?
Dude,
I'm telling you, I love this team.
Blown away.
This team can be, I think that should be this year's America's team. I've never bought into the bullshit that, Dallas is America's team. That's nonsense to me.
Screw Dallas.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm good with, I want to adopt Detroit because I just,
this is what it's been, correct me if I'm wrong. Was it 30 years?
Oh God.
Since they've been in the playoffs.
Right. Oh, look, is that Cat Sherry? It must be Matt.
You guys all want to know you guys want the tea, don't you?
Yeah, he's got the whole fam family hanging around. So hey, but yeah, let us know you're there, and because we'd sure love to hear from you. All right, let us know. Just drop us a comment, just like Matt and Sherry and Kat did, because oh look, they even have popcorn ready. Must be a slow night over at the Rogers house if they've prepped that much for it. Which, by the way, before I do too much, got to give kudos to Sherry. She does a thing called My Kind of Clutter, and she and Kat make some very cool stuff, man. So
I will give them kudos because my wife ordered something from them, and we just received it just a few days ago, if not a week ago, and just love it. So, Sherry, thank you so much. And by the way, next time, yes, a family does have to pay you for your time. Nobody does anything for free. So if I want to pay you,
here's right now, she's probably going, you need to tell that to your brother. Sherry and I do a lot of exchange. In fact, I made something for her that is sitting on the counter in the kitchen. And every time I see it, I think, shit, I got to mail that. And then I get busy, and it's still there. So
don't worry, Sherry. I think he still has some shirts of mine there somewhere too. So don't feel bad.
My kind of clutter. By the way, just so y'all know, yeah, I love that. There you go.
You want to know a funny story about those pictures real quick?
Yeah,
There
go
was
ahead.
there's a picture not too far off from that picture that was taken of me that mom had taken. I had this little bear sitting on my lap, and I was probably about that same age, if not a little bit younger. I can remember explicitly everything about that bear in that day. Don't
Can
ask
you
me
really?
why or how,
Wow.
but I asked mom one day. I'm like that bear. It had like a little plastic face, right? She's like, yeah, it did. I said, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't it have like a little hole in the back that I used to pull the stuffing out of it? And she just like lost all expression. She's like, how in the hell could you know that? And for some
Wow.
reason, I explicitly remember everything about that damn bear. And the day we took
Wow.
one of those stupid, I think it was at either Kmart back in the Kmart photo days
Yeah,
or
that looks like a Kmart
or
picture.
something. Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely. That
I
definitely
don't
looked like a Kmart.
remember, but I think it must have been about the same time.
You were probably high.
The same background. I mean, probably shared the bow tie. Yeah,
I
I
didn't
don't.
think about that. That's pretty good. We probably did.
I bet you. Oh shit! I bet you we shared the bow tie.
He's all
We probably
next.
got one picture, and mom took it off and put it on the other boy.
That's funny.
Look
Or
at
could have
those
been a
handsome
rent-a-tie.
kids. Hey, but check it out, man. You got like a crew do, and I'm still sporting at least some measure of
Dude, look at
hair.
the size of that dome that I have. I mean, it's like, damn. Damn.
Not much has changed either.
I was gonna say,
all right, so
I used
we're
to have
about
the same hairline. I finally got rid of it. Back when I don't call it a 4-head, I call it a 5-head because that's about how big it was.
there you go. All right, so we're going to share stories of and if you're hopping on either now or if you hop on after we're done, which by the way, I was telling Ronnie earlier this week, we had a boatload of people looking at this thing after we were done last week. In fact, I tell you, it's probably one of the most watched shows we've done. So
Awesome.
that was just awesome. So thank you all, and make sure you share
Thank you
it.
for your support.
Tell some friends. We're trying to grow it. Ronnie has read what I think is most of the first book that I'm trying to write, and that came about because of a podcast we did, in which our cousin Matt joined us that night, and we were talking about dirt clod fights. And when Matt mentioned dirt clod fights, I told Ronnie I always keep a yellow notebook around, and one of my favorite pens. And I literally wrote down, "Let's go outside and throw shit at each other." And when I did that, I felt a calling that I needed to write. My hope is to write a series of just quick read books, but put them out, once about 2-3 months or so. And at the end of it, the totality of them will equal kind of a whole book, but you'll have read them one short book at a time. So anyway, he's had a chance to view the first effort. It's not very long. It's a pretty short read. All right. Do you want to start? Or do you want me to go ahead and throw my nonsense?
Well, honestly, I think yours is probably going to be a little more exciting than mine.
Right.
But Matt, just to forewarn you, this will involve your mother as well as my mother. So I'm going to go ahead and kick this off. So most of you have to remember that when we were younger, growing up in Colorado, the drinking age was still 18 back then. So this is how long ago this was. So shortly after that, when I turned 21, but when I was, I had to have been maybe 16 years old at the time, if not 15 years old, because I know I was driving and I probably shouldn't have been driving. So I don't think I had my license at the time. But Mike, do you remember a bar called Kojak's Lounge?
Absolutely.
Okay. Matt, I don't know if you remember or not, but that used to be the hangout for Mom and Aunt Linda. And I remember one evening, and this had to have been like 5 or 6 o'clock early evening, I get a phone call from the bar to come pick up my mother and her sister. So I get down there, and Linda had gotten into a bar fight with another woman and yanked half her hair out.
There's a shocker.
Drug her across the bar, and Mom stood there and giggled the whole time during this process.
Wow.
Because she had probably one too many. Her drink of choice was Kahlua and cream. And anyway, here I am, this 15, 16-year-old getting called from a bar to come and pick up his mother and his aunt. So I show up at the bar, and before I put them in the car and took them home, the bartender's like, "Let me get you a drink before you go." So I literally sat there at the bar in my young teenage years, bandaging up my aunt and damn near carrying my mother out to the car to get them home after their afternoon day drinking escapade.
Wow.
Never mind.
Well, and just as it happens, every time Ronnie and I do this, and we hope it does the same thing for you. You just shared a story. I'm going to get to mine, but yeah, Aunt Linda. There was also a bar down on Galley called the Varsity Lounge.
Sure, absolutely.
And, so I guess this night she couldn't get anybody to go with her, so she took me. I can't say that it pleased Dad too much.
Yeah, you think?
Aunt Linda and I go to the bar, and I think I was about 16.
Yeah,
and so we're there, and yeah, you know what, a Kahlua and cream, that was Aunt Linda's go-to. Well, the Varsity had that drink, and it was called an orgasm. And so I told Aunt Linda, I said, "Look, kind of a schnapps kind of a guy, because at that age, when you do get liquor, it's because somebody else got it for you,
cheap and nasty."
So we were Bacardi, that kind of crowd, because that's what the kids were getting. So the guy comes over, already knows what Aunt Linda wants, didn't even ask, and he says, "And you, sir?" And Aunt Linda says, "He'll have an orgasm." And I'm thinking, okay, this is going to be a fun night. I sat there and I hammered, I don't know how many of those fucking things, and I was good. I mean, couldn't weigh but 160, 170 pounds then. I got a leg that weighs that much now, but I felt good until it was time to leave.
To stand up, yeah.
As soon as I stood up, I thought, well, this is not going to be a good deal here. Poor Aunt Linda had to literally carry me to the car, got me in there, didn't even take me to our house. She took me, this is when Aunt Linda lived kind of above us in Village 7.
Yeah.
I can't remember the name of the street, Matt, but y'all lived up,
Wagon
up
Master
and to the right or whatever.
Wagon Master.
Wagon Master. And so Aunt Linda takes me home, puts me in bed, and I spent the night there. And for days, Dad wouldn't talk to me. And he just wasn't happy because he knew damn good and well what had happened. But yeah. And it wasn't the first time at the Varsity. It was just that one night to me was hilarious. Yeah. And but yeah, it's just
since we
she might have even stopped by the house to see if Mom wanted to go, and I guess Mom said no, and she said, "Good, I'll take Mike."
So since we're talking about the Rogers, and we have the one on here, Matt, yeah. I don't know if you remember the story or not, but I'm going to jog your memory. So I was out there one time visiting, and Matt and I had gone to Cripple Creek, and we were at the, I want to say Golden Eagle, or no, sorry, Double Eagle Hotel is what it was. A buddy of mine was working there. Anyway, long story short, Matt and I are playing blackjack, and this cat probably drank, I stopped counting at probably 10 White Russians. And same thing, man. He was doing good, having a good time until it was time to get off the stool and get back to the hotel.
Right?
Do you remember that, Matt?
Trying to keep up with them. Well, and we do have more that are online right now. It just
start clicking, boy. What are you waiting for?
The Rogers are the only one that are clicking in. All right. So I wonder, all right, I'm going to go ahead and share mine so I can get that out of here. And there's more.
Silence, please.
This one is the one that came to mind. All right. As most of the folks in the hood knew, I ran with a couple of interesting people, and one of them's name was I'll just say Dave, because I don't know where he is or what he's doing this day. He might be a preacher, I don't know. But we had a bad habit of doing some bad shit, right? And so I have 5 or 6 I could share. I'm going to share this one with you. So one night, Dave used to come to our house, where my room sat. He'd managed to get in the backyard and come kind of tap on my window. And my window was sort of a back door that mom and dad may or may not have known about. I don't know.
Yeah, it wasn't sort of a back door, Mike. It was a back door.
So we'd sneak out, and remember, Dave is the one that I think we did the grass in the dude's car down the street because he just mowed and his sunroof was open. But this night we end up way up on North Oro Blanco, and I can't remember the cross streets, but we're up there. But we were on the right side, the east side of Oro Blanco, and it's kind of a hill. It's a pretty steep hill up there. Mm-hmm. We're just walking around, and at some point, I don't know if it was me or Dave, but we realized a car was unlocked. And it was pointed downhill. So we just thought, what would be funny? Let's get in and coast it down the hill. So we did. We got in that car, popped it in neutral, coasted down the hill, right across Oro Blanco. Thank God nobody was going, traveling, or we'd have been killed. And we ended up parking that car down around where there was an entry to Doherty High School. It's kind of a curve. Dave Strom and his family used to live in a house right there.
Sure. I know what you're talking about.
We parked that car, but we park it in the middle of the street. So Dave says, hey, you know what? Let's walk back up there and see if we can find another one. So we walked back up there, found another car, and coasted it down. I bet we did about 5, 6, 7, 8 cars that night. So the next day, later that day, we're walking to school. And that's the route I took. I'd go in that gate that got inside the backside of Doherty. All these damn cars are parked. We parked them every which way. It was just a mess. And police were there. There were people outside in their pajamas and shit, just getting mad as hell. Dave walks up to a cop and wow, what happened? I'm thinking, what are you, stupid? Because I'm of the mindset, I'm going, you know what? If we left Prince, we are stupid. If they had wanted to dust for Prince, I don't know if I was on the record at the time or not. But we were basically committing grand theft of an automobile, coasting them down the hill. We didn't really hurt anything. But I have to tell you, it was funny that day. But the more I thought about it, because Dave's telling everybody, and I'm thinking, dude, shut the fuck up. And so knowing that, more and more people are hearing about what we did, I'm thinking, oh my God, I waited. I don't mind telling you, man, I for the longest time expected the police to show up at our door and just haul my ass away. So it was fun. Like I said in the little video I did, it was funny then, and then it just scared the hell out of me for quite a while. And today it is kind of funny. May not have been funny to the people whose cars got coasted down the hill, or the people. Here's the other problem: is the way we park them. Nobody can get out of their driveways. So if you're going to work that morning, you couldn't get out. We just jammed the street up with these cars. So yeah, it's not like we were committing. We weren't vandalizing. I don't think that came later, but we definitely committed grand theft auto. That's why I thought, gosh, I hope 40 years. Certainly the statute of limitations.
I think you're in the clear.
I hope so.
But you know what, Mike, we could actually segue that into the premise of our story of, then versus now. Guarantee you'd be hard pressed to get away with that shit now, because every house would have a Ring camera on the front of it. The cars would have GPS on it. It's just, man, there's some stories I could tell of the dumb shit I did when I was a kid, very similar to that. But I don't want people thinking less of me like you do. But it's seriously, it's You can't get away with shit anymore. The shit I used to get away with when I was a kid, no way,
no.
man. There's no way. It's so hard.
And and you're right. I mean, Ring doorbells, that would have certainly ruined our
Traffic
night.
cams, Ring doorbells, somebody with a cell phone walking down the street arbitrarily.
Michelle or Sherry, criminal returning to the scene of the crime. And no.
So I got to tell a funny story, and Matt and Rich will appreciate this because when we all lived on.
That is funny as hell. You're gonna have to explain.
My
that
wife
one.
chips in, but so when we were kids, me and Matt, Roger, and Dave, and Rich, we all lived in the same building. And there was this guy that lived downstairs from us. I won't mention names or ethnicity or anything, but he owned an ice cream truck. Matt, is this what you're going to tell? I'm going to give you about 30 seconds to respond before I say anything else. But again, we all lived up on Scenic Circle, which is very close up by where you were talking about, Mike. If you just go up a little bit further past that, is where you're talking about. So has Matt kicked in yet? Okay. So anyway, so the guy that lived in our building owned an ice cream truck. Well, I took it upon myself one afternoon to go out there and kind of look at the truck and figured a way to get into it. So I would just open the window and the kids would come around the front and I'd be like, okay, what can I get you? And I open up the ice cream shit and I was handing stuff out left and right. And oh man, yeah. It's just dumb shit like that just I think that's why I'm so in tune or aware of kids or teens nowadays, because I was a dick when I was a kid, man.
Yeah, at least look, dude, I wasn't stealing shit off the back of the Habib's. I know who you're talking about. Oh, look, there's Arch.
Oh, hello, puppy. But so Matt tells that story quite often too.
Yeah, Carolyn and I ended up moving into that apartment, and he lived below us, and everything.
That's funny. I still to this day remember his name.
Do you?
His name was Zia.
Was it
Zia? And they used to cook some of those god awful smelling stuff. I don't know what the hell they were making down there, but
man, everything always smelled like, what's that stuff they use? It's not cumin.
Cat.
What am I trying to think of? That's it's that orange spice. It's gosh.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Don't forget when we camped on the deck and went in the middle of the night and took money. And no, there was never money, Rich. Never happened.
Just curry.
Yeah, there you go.
Rich.
Yes, thank you.
Yes. I knew somebody would be able to help me out. I appreciate that, Rich. But yeah, that's.
But again, it brings us back to what I just said earlier. You can't get away with that shit nowadays. They never had and thank God that you couldn't, because I'd probably still be in prison to this day for some of the shit that I did. But that being said, sometimes they say it takes a thief to catch a thief. I think that's why I got into law enforcement later on in my career.
I want to go. I'm going to go back up to. Well, yeah, I was going to go back up to. There you go. Don't say stuff that will affect future employment. I don't know.
Well, that's kind of an inside story.
It is. So there you go. I'm not sure if anybody else has any, and some of you may be just too young that maybe the statute of limitations hasn't run out yet. But yeah, look, I did worse, believe it or not, than coasting cars down a hill. One of them was really bad. Nobody got hurt. It's not like we hurt anybody. I'll just say I discovered a bunch of money in the form of 50-cent pieces. And the dude whose house in which we found the money, when we were going to Sabin Junior High School, that's where I was going to at the time, was Sabin. And there was a red top across the street from Sabin.
Oh, yeah.
Well, me and the cat that was with me, we kept this money in socks in our lockers. So the dude who lived in the house that we discovered this windfall in um, happened by the lockers one day. And he wasn't very bright. And he was a big kid, too. I thought, dude, do you not know you can kick our ass? And so he said, hey, what are you guys doing? I said, well, we're going to go over to Red Top. You want to come? And he said, oh, yeah. So we took him to Red Top and treated him to lunch. So time came to pay. And I go up to the counter with my sock, and I'm dumping out 50-cent pieces until I get to the right amount that was due. And he looks at me and says, wow, you're not going to believe this, but somebody got into our house and stole all of, and they had a kid that lived with them and stole all of their 50-cent pieces. And so we just, really? And he never put two and two together. Never. But yeah, it's
light bulb.
yeah, and but we got discovered later. I just hit the StreamYard link you sent me. Oh, well, come on. Well, it's got to be a new link. Each show has a different link. So
see if you can hop on for 10 minutes.
Well, I have to leave and go make this happen then. So I tell you what, why don't we just have him on again next week? And that's the thing we need to tell people. We can have up to, what is it, Ron, 10 people?
10 people, yeah.
I think we can have 10 people on here at one time. And I'm telling you,
somebody tells a story. Matt, Rich, Sherry, whoever's on here, tell me a story. Tell me something about your past as a youth that you look back and you kind of chuckle about it, now, but back then you probably lived in fear of your life because of it. But again, there's some more in-depth stories I can tell.
The fear for my life wasn't so much the act, but it was also
it was Dad finding out.
Was Dad going to kill me?
Absolutely.
Like, oh God.
Absolutely.
But I have to tell you, while you all are thinking about the things you want to share with Ron and I, the coin deal I just told you about, Dad and the father of the guy that was with me, they both found out what had happened. I can't remember how it came up, but they learned what we had done. And I thought for sure, I honestly thought Dad was going to kill me. I thought he was going to disown me. I thought I was going to some boot camp or something. Can I tell you this? And this is hilarious because it ties into a little bit with what we're talking about stuff we did then that you can't do today. And in this case, it's the repercussion of it. So Ronnie and I, as you can tell, we loved our dad. But Daddy could be mean. He could be strict. He was a disciplinarian. But when he found out what we did in this house, we didn't ransack anything. It involved these coins, a can of SpaghettiOs, and a Pong game. And so they found out what we did, and they thought, well, they got together, the two dads, and they finally called us back upstairs because we were in our house at the time. And so they sat us down. They said, here's what we've come up with. You boys are going to pay this money back. We're going to go ahead and put the money in together right now, but you're going to pay it back. You're going to pay us back. And so as they're writing this note to this family, sort of a anonymous letter, they're putting the money, but they're laughing. They're literally laughing about, I'm sorry that this happened. Here's the repayment. And I think they even wrote something like, thank you for the can of SpaghettiOs. And they're just laughing their asses off. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, what the hell is going on here? For one thing, to know our dad, this was way out of norm for him. Right. And so, yeah, they were actually at the kitchen table writing this letter and laughing about it, about SpaghettiOs. We really enjoyed playing your Pong game. It was horrible, but funny as shit. So, and so you just don't get that these days.
I'm going to tell you a story, Mike, about Dad. I don't know if you I tried to outrun a cop when I was stationed in Georgia. Yeah, but it usually works better when you have a car, Matt.
Well, I think the key word there is, of course, tried.
Yes, tried. So I'm going to tell you a quick story about Dad that I don't know if he ever told you or not. And being as he is since passed, I don't fear for my life anymore. I can't. My daughter is watching. Send me an email. But so Dad and I were talking one time, and this was I don't know how long ago. It was probably 10 years before he passed. But anyway, I was out visiting and we were talking and we were kind of having this very similar conversation about things that we had done in our past. And I said, Dad, I just want to come clean on a few things, blah, blah. And same thing. He started chuckling. I'm like, kind of taken back. I'm like, okay, I'm still, I'm an adult, but I'm still, in fear of you whooping my ass.
Oh,
But
yeah.
he goes, let me tell you something, son. He goes, I remember back when I was a boy in Florida growing up. He goes, me and a couple of buddies were removing an engine out of a truck that didn't belong to us. And the police pulled up next to us and asked us what we were doing. And I just said, well, my truck broke down and we're going to swap the motor out on it. And he's like, okay, well, have a good day, boys.
Have a good night, kids.
And I looked at Dad. I'm like, are you shitting me?
Right.
You making shit up there to make me feel better, But
Oh my.
yeah.
That's
So
funny. No,
Dad
that's,
had his rebel side in him, just like we all did. And
Yeah.
Sherry, I find it hard to believe sweet, innocent you did anything other than perfection in your life. So don't try telling me you did something when you were younger. Stop it.
Yeah.
Returning library books late does not constitute doing something wrong.
We know Matt married an angel.
Amen.
And
Lucky man.
And yeah. So there you go. So there's a little bit of our history, stuff that we did that yeah, it's funny. But I'm telling you, the car one, I lived in fear it seemed like about 2 years. I literally thought, oh my God. So anytime I saw, and here's the other thing is Ralph Burning was still around. And Ralph was a cop, lived down the street from us. And I said, oh God, of all the people in the world that's going to come get me, it's going to be him. And so anyway, there you go.
Keep believing that.
Well, until you give us reason not to. And if those reasons exist,
and
like
next week, when Kat is not watching.
That's right. Wink, 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 wink.
Winkety wink,
Oh,
wink,
my
wink,
Lord.
wink. Well, I'll tell you what, man, it's always a pleasure hanging out with you, Mike, and looking forward to next week. Let's see, what do we got coming up here? Middle of February. I am not going to be here on Valentine's Day, which is the 14th.
We got to check those dates.
Yeah, so we check those dates, and we have some more pictures, Mike. I have a couple of us when we were younger too.
I got more. This is all I had time to do.
Yeah, I have one of my favorite pictures that I occasionally send to Matt. It's a picture of he and I when we were maybe 4 or 5 years old. I'm a little brown haired kid, little towhead kid. And the great thing about that, and I'm sure Matt doesn't want to hear this, but that is always how I see him. I always see us as kids. Whenever I think back of Matt and I, Roger, Dave, anybody, Mike, you and I, a lot of times even too. And when I was reading that part of your book, and Mike and I had names for each other, loving names for each other as young brothers. And I'm not gonna lie, man. There were parts of that book that literally brought tears to my eyes, and that's only because I lived that story. I was there when it happened, so it really hit home with a lot of the things that you said. And man, I hope a lot of the people that watch this and eventually will read your book, you can draw out those same emotions, because like you said, man, this is all about you'll say things, Matt will say things, I'll say things that you forget about certain things, and all of a sudden this rush of memories come back. It's like, oh shit, I remember that. Oh my God, yeah, I totally forgot about that.
I refer to that in the book is, I wanted to uncork your memories with a loud pop, and I want those memories to flood back to you. Because I think sadly, that's a lot of our problem is, that's why I love doing this now. That's why I love having Matt share stuff. I love having, Sherry and everybody else on board, because occasionally something will be said that I'll go, God, I completely forgot about that. But before we go, you're absolutely right. Even today, I reached out to Kenny the other day because I was trying to think of Mike Bonke's brother's name, and it was Jurgen. And
we used to refer to him as urine.
So we were, texting back and forth real quick, but I still see what I refer to as the debonair gang, and we're all still kids. That's the way I see us.
Absolutely.
And that's what I really want to get out to people is, our generation, baby boomers, Gen Xers, sorry, Kat, but we're the last of a literally a dying breed. It's never going to happen again. And I think there's great value in people getting next to one of us and saying, tell me more. I want to know more about that, because as we go, that shit goes with us. Right?
Yeah, I agree.
All right. Now that I've been, Mikey Downer, there you go. All right. So no coasting cars downhill. Oh, unless it's a coaster car you built. Unless it's a coaster car you built out of scrap pieces of wood and a nail.
And a big wheel or a green machine.
See, I was going to use the green machine, but I don't. You guys must have been the one that tore up the green machine. I think I went after your big wheel.
Actually, it was me and the Hall boys across the street.
Was it?
Yeah. Yeah, and my big wheel, I remember I had a couple of them. One we disassembled and made into a go-kart, and the other one Dad backed over with his truck. Back before there were backup cameras, it was just, you just roll until you hear something.
Dad's backup camera was a kid screaming, "Get off! You're running me over!" All right, love y'all.
Love you guys. Thanks for joining in. By the way, next week, Matt, all in, man. Let's get this going. Tell your friends, tell your family. Love you all. Thanks for joining us.
Peace out, y'all.